Hello everyone, this is part 39 of What If Naruto Had the Ultimate Dojutsu, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. The sounds of chains rattled around in Naruto's head as he took that unconscious step forward. He passed the sealed door that he had found beneath his complex. The roar that had come from deep inside had resonated in his mind. A terrifying shriek, but Naruto faced it head on. He was the Rokudaime Hokage, and how could he be scared of such a thing? Naruto walked through the open area and noticed a large array of green crystals across the entire area. He could see a large pool of water in the center of the room, but the source of the loud roar wasn't anywhere to be seen. Now Naruto wasn't stupid. He was dumb either. Kyuubi had made sure of that with her training him all those years. My imagination. Naruto wondered before he turned around. He was about to walk out the door and leave the exploration for another time with his family before he heard a growl. Bastard child of Kami, you dare show your face to me again? It asked, and Naruto stopped. He turned back to see that nothing was there, but he knew that he heard a voice. He was absolutely sure of it. Naruto turned around and walked deeper into the mysterious room. Against his better judgment, he had pressed on like he said. He didn't seem to want to answer that question lest he not get a response, so Naruto came up to the large pool of water. He looked down into it and noticed green-colored seals across the rocks inside the water. It was quite clear which was something that Naruto first realized, but he could also see the marking on his hand starting to react. It was the marking he got from Raiga when he was in the HPT that Tsunade had provided. Naruto waited for anything to happen for about 5 minutes and nothing did. He then got fed up and turned around again. Don't you dare ignore me! The voice shouted, and Naruto turned around just in time to see the water behind him bubble slightly. Then imagine his surprise when a large sea comes from the water. Naruto widened his eyes in shock before the sea attempted to S him into the ground. The blonde rolled to the side and escaped the attack before he heard more chains rattling. The sea fastened into the ground and with great effort pulled out a creature who instantly glared at Naruto. Its teeth jagged and sharp, the red piercing eyes, but also the very white and clear, scaly skin. It growled and roared before Naruto saw the chakra chains keeping it in place, but Naruto was in awe when it expanded its wings while its tail s into the water below. What the hell? Naruto shouted before the creature looked at him. His nose whiffed before he growled. You reek of that bastard child. You are obviously not him, as he was older. Who are you, human, and how did you find me? It asked, and Naruto continued to stare at its majestic beauty before the question was registered into his mind. I'm Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. I found you because you're right beneath my compound. Who are you? Naruto asked before the creature roared in his face. Be respectful, mortal. You will answer my questions, and if I'm in the mood then I will answer yours, but not before. Got it? It roared, and Naruto had just one thing to say. He stared at the creature evenly and closed his eyes. F you, Naruto said before the creature widened his eyes. He growled and roared in Naruto's face. The blonde didn't flinch. If he wasn't going to flinch from Kyuubi's form and her training, then he sure as hell wasn't going to show weakness to this. You're lucky I'm bound, or I would K you where you stood. How dare you talk to me like that? It appears all you mortals have no class or respect, it stated, and Naruto knew that jab was more at humans than at himself, but he still felt a little put off by it. Respect is earned, not given. You also talk of class when you try to belittle me when you don't even know me. Now who doesn't have class? Naruto asked. The creature merely looked at him as he pondered that statement before he was even more pissed off. I'm the 11th son of the Dragon Lord, Tora. I don't need the respect of a brat, much less an insect like yourself, when I have been proven as a more than capable warrior and companion to Kami's first son. He is my master and the only one who will command my respect, the dragon said while Naruto raised an eyebrow. More with Kami and her sons. This all seemed to center around his swords more or less. Well, you seem to be quite incapable now. So you might as well tell me your name, or am I too low an insect to know it? Naruto baited, and like a prideful dragon, he took it easily. My name is Nura. Now release me. I have stayed here in the confines of this place for too long and I must return to Kami-sama at once. Make haste, insect, Nura said while Naruto growled. He turned around and quickly walked off while Nura widened his eyes. Where are you going? He asked and Naruto snorted. How about we continue this talk about releasing you or some s after you learn not to insult me at every single turn, Naruto said, and he only met a roar before he closed the door. He quickly walked up the stairs, ignoring the temper tantrums of Nura as he probably thrashed around left and right trying to get free. Naruto had never known much in the way of dragons, but Kyuubi had taught him that they were real, just that there weren't a lot of them around anymore. Well, it seemed that Naruto could now think about it more. He quickly came up from his basement and pushed open the hatch. He walked through and closed it. He knew he was being a little childish with how he just upped and left, but he, be damned if he helped someone and they kept insulting him. Tayuya was an exception because he could pick apart her insults and see the true meaning of kindness in them. Naruto pushed a small box back over it before the sounds of construction continued to around the house. Oh Naruto, there you are. We've started laying down the planks and boards for the new room, but we need your help. Some of the family went to get supplies and other things. Say, why are you in the basement? Kiba asked and Naruto sheepishly rubbed the back of his head. Oh, no reason. Just moving some boxes around. I'll be coming with you. Let's get it started, Naruto said before he followed Kiba out. With Fu. Fu sighed as she appeared in front of the Chunin exam room along with Ino and Chuji. Asuma smiled at the three of them before he took a puff of smoke and sighed. Well, let's just hope that you guys do good and can manage as a team. Get in there and show those guys what you can do, Asuma said while Ino and Chuji nodded with smiles on their faces. Fu was the only one disinterested, and how could she not be? In Fuinjutsu alone she was a Junin level shinobi. She made it her specialty, but if Naruto said that she need to do this then she would do it. Alright you two, let's go, Fu said as she opened the door. Team 10 was immediately met with glares from the Chunin hopefuls in Kiri. Ino and Chuji seemed to handle it better than the last time that they had been on the receiving end of this glasses during Konoha's exam. I've received too many glares to be intimidated by that, Fu thought to herself before she turned her head. She could see Tenten, Lee and Neji and the crowds of people, and the brunette waved while Fu gave a silent wave as well. Soon the door opened again and Fu turned to see Sasuke, Hinata and Shino right behind her. A lot of people had their eyes on Sasuke as the last heir to the Uchiha clan. Some girls blushed at his cuteness while the guys growled. However, everyone paled when they saw what was strapped to his back. Everyone had learned of the Nadime's use of the Raijin no Ken. It was the true thing on Sasuke's back, its potential not in use. Sasuke glanced at everyone before he saw Fu and her team walk over to him. You ask where they were? Well, they were underground in a place a bit off of Kiri's location, underwater. Yeah, they would be taking an exam underwater. Oh, the possibilities. So we're all gathered here again? Ino asked while Sasuke snorted. He folded her arms, but didn't say anything. Well, this is my first time, so I don't know what to expect. Still, I can't believe I'm here. I'm not some genin, Fu said, and Sasuke had to nod with that. Everyone else sighed before they took their seats as well before Fu snickered. She quickly pointed to everyone while Sasuke shook his head. I'm Fu Uzumaki Namikaze and I'm gonna win against each and every one of you. Fu shouted across the room while Sasuke smirked with a nod. Hinata sighed and Shino brushed a hand up to his glasses. Neji shook his head at a member of the prestigious UNI clan acting in such a way while Tenten smiled. Lee grinned, and if not for the situation then he would have shouted about Fu's youth or something to that degree. Well, it looks like I know who we'll be targeting first, an Iwa Genin said with a sadistic grin. How could he not? The name Namikaze was taboo in Iwa and Fu just announced it to the entire room. She grinned and sat down while Ino and Chuji leaned next to her. Why did you do that? Ino asked while Fu smirked. Simple. I'm telling them all that I'm brash and impulsive. They will underestimate me and they'll fall into my pace that much easier. Simple as that. Now be quiet. We've got guests, Fu said, and just like that there was a large splash of water. Alright, you will all shut up and be quiet. You have been chosen to take Kiri's Chunin exams. See if you can't survive this first part, a shinobi said before he assigned everyone a number. Fu sat next to a window which showed the water world outside. She snorted and turned back to see Ino and Chuji were a far ways off. Behind her was Sasuke while Hinata was in the far back and Shino was to the far right as well. Now then, you will be given this sheet of paper and an ink pen. You will be deciphering this, the man said as he drew on the board behind him. Everyone watched as he drew a small seal and left it at that. No cheating. We'll know if you cheat. Cheat 3 times and you fail. Also, if you haven't deciphered this in 30 minutes, then you fail as well. Now then, good luck. You lot are going to need it. You've got 30 minutes to get it down. Oh, also, do hurry because unlike any other village, we take things seriously, the man said before he puffed out. Ino gulped and so did Chuji. Sasuke and Fu looked at the seal. Everyone heard the Nanabi Jinchuriki began. A simple catalyst seal with an inverted twist topped by a hexagon. Nothing too hard. Fu quickly began to write before she felt Sasuke copying her movements with his Sharingan. She sighed, but didn't let it bother her before she went on with time passing. Team 4 fail. Teams 34 and 65 fail. A person over the intercom said, but Fu and Sasuke didn't let that deter them. Underneath the desk, Fu did a few hand signs and she unsealed a small seal from her hands. It dropped down to the floor and Fu added chakra to it before he began to crawl along the floor. Fu watched it go before it appeared in front of Ino and Chuji. It was a message to them telling them how to decipher the seal with ease. She'd more than done her fair share of it. Ino and Chuji grinned and had known about Fu's apud for seals thanks to her being Naruto's student. They quickly deciphered the seal on the board and it looked strange. Fu stood to her feet and so did Ino and Chuji. They placed their papers on the front of the desk while Fu took their seals. She wrote them together and a large light came and a puff of smoke appeared. It dropped a piece of paper into her hands, a map of some sorts. Well, looks like we get to go. See you later, Sasuke, Fu said with a grin before she and her team left. Sasuke snorted before he soon finished as well. Just how to get this information to Shino and Hinata. While Fu-san really is the student of Naruto. Anything dealing with seals and she handles it easily, Lee said with a smirk while Tenten pouted. She studied seals too, but damn that was fast. Even for her that was too fast. Neji snorted, but he didn't say anything. Back with Naruto. The blonde sighed as he directed the construction and renovation of Kasumi's room. He was making it closer to his and Tsume's master bedroom. And right across from Kasumi's room was to be the baby's room. Kasumi was still out trying to take some exercises or so Naruto figured. Naruto-sama. Kasumi shouted while Naruto turned around. He smiled and quickly gave Kasumi a K. Hey Kasumi-chan, what's the matter? Naruto asked and Kasumi sighed. We need to go to the store. We're out of food. She shouted and Naruto sweet-dropped. Didn't we do that last week? He asked and Kasumi blushed in embarrassment of her actions. I couldn't hold back and ended up eating most of the food. Now I'm in the mood for a large tray of sushi with hot sauce. Kasumi said with a smile. Naruto's eyebrow twitched while he sighed. Oh, Kasumi was going to run him into the ground with this baby of theirs. It wasn't even here yet and the baby was already trying to put a dent into the UNI saving account which was still very, very large at the moment. Alright Kasumi-chan, we'll go and get you your food in just a moment. Wait until we're finished. It shouldn't take much longer, Naruto said before he did some hand signs. Mokuton no Jutsu, Naruto shouted and a pillar of wood came in front of everyone before Kushina stared wood along with Kimimaro and Tayuya. They carried it off and Kasumi could still hear all of the drills, boards and saws at work. Naruto was about to do something else until he saw an Anbu appear behind him. Hokage-sama, you are urgently needed at the Hokage mansion, he said and Naruto narrowed his eyes. He sighed with a nod of his head. He quickly patted Kasumi on the head getting a tail wag from the girl. Just wait right there Kasumi-chan and I'll be right back, Naruto said before he hurried off leaving everyone else to their work. Kasumi pouted, but she knew her mate's duties so she would just have to live with it. Naruto appeared in the desk of the mansion and noticed an Iwa Jonin on his floor. He glared hard at the man before he puffed his Hokage robes and hat. The blonde sat down while next to the Jonin was Itachi and Kakashi. Both looked at Naruto with worry in their eyes while the blonde sat down. So why is an Iwa Jonin in my office? Naruto asked and Itachi gave the report. Hokage-sama, it seems that Iwa knows of Kasumi's pregnancy and he was sent her to Kei her and bring her back to Iwa, but Kakashi and I caught him before he could complete the mission, Itachi said, and Naruto turned to Kakashi, who nodded that it was just like Itachi said. The blonde glared at the Jonin, but he only met a seethe in response. We're not having another one appear. You were lucky, brat, but your child won't be. Tsuchikage-sama might not know, but it's for the good of the village that you and your kind never produce. He shouted and Naruto narrowed his eyes. The blonde stood to his feet and he quickly hovered over the Jonin in slight anger. His daughter wasn't even born yet and they tried another attempt. He wondered if that's what his mother had to endure with him. Naruto grabbed the Jonin's collar and forced him to stare into the blonde's eyes. Naruto's Sharingan began to spin in circles before Itachi and Kakashi heard the man scream and then collapse. Take him to Ibiki and Anko. Get all you can out of him and then when you're done dispose of him, Naruto said. He knew he wasn't improving relations with Iwa by doing this, but that was their fault. He loved Kasumi as he did all of his women and he wouldn't take kindly to an attempt on any of them. Itachi dragged the man away to have him taken to Ibiki as were Naruto's orders. The blonde looked out the window and sighed before he turned to see Kakashi still there. What is it? Naruto asked and Kakashi shrugged. You didn't really want to do that, did you? He asked and Naruto closed his eyes. He shook his head while looking out for a little bit. No, I didn't. That was actually the first attempt and I can only be sure that there will be more, Naruto said while Kakashi nodded. You know, when Minato-sensei first learned of an attempt on Kushina, he did the same thing. You fill his shoes quite well. A true father, Kakashi said and Naruto snorted. That didn't really make him feel any better. I see. Well, thank you, Kakashi-sensei. You can go now, Naruto said and liked that Kakashi left while Naruto closed his eyes. He sighed for a little while before he heard the door knock. The blonde turned around and noticed Kanari come through. She gave him a warm smile, but she noticed that Naruto's was rather half-hearted. Something wrong? Kyuubi asked and Naruto leaned back. Kyuubi, have you ever heard of a dragon called Nura? Naruto asked and he turned around. He immediately saw Kyuubi stiffen. Her face began to sweat and Naruto narrowed his eyes dangerously while Kyuubi sighed. She nodded her head and Naruto stood up. He was about to speak, but Kyuubi steadied her hand. Where did you learn of that name? Kyuubi asked and Naruto sighed. He tried to dart his eyes around in a vain attempt to avoid hers, but didn't have much going for him as he looked Kyuubi in her eyes. Well, it seems that he's chained directly beneath the Namikaze compound. I had talked with him for a bit, but that was it. He's a real Naruto said while Kyuubi snarled. She quickly walked up to Naruto and placed her silky hands on his shoulders. Naruto-kun, take me to him. Right now, Kyuubi said and Naruto nodded. He quickly took her back to the house. Naruto opened the hatch down to the basement and Kyuubi followed him down to the stairs. Naruto had told her that he had never known that such a thing existed until now. He had taken his 5 swords with him just in case of anything before Naruto guided her. Kyuubi seemed more on edge than Naruto was at the moment. They had been walking down a flight of stairs for at least half an hour before they stopped in front of the door. Kyuubi looked at the seals on the door and she glared. So Naruto-kun did find it. How did he? That seals was supposed to only be unlocked by a descendant of the Rikudo Sennin. Damn it, he is one. How did I miss that? I told him about his history. No wonder he was able to unlock the seal, Kyuubi said in her thoughts. She remembered the place all right. She was the only one that her father had told of this location to. That was how many years ago? Naruto unlocked the door confirming Kyuubi's fears and walked inside to a roar. Insect, if you ever do that again I'm gonna. You. Nura shouted while Naruto walked in with Kyuubi. The 9-tailed fox glared at the captive dragon. A millennium has done little to get rid of your attitude, Nura, or do you take comfort in the fact that Tsu-sama is gone? Kyuubi hissed out and Naruto stared at the 2 separate beings. He was a mistake. The product of Kami-sama's fooling around in this world. He was never meant to be born. Teaching these insects about using our techniques. No doubt you are the product of such foolishness as well, Nura spoke and that irritated Naruto. However, Naruto turned to see Kyuubi chuckling slightly. It's that arrogance of yours which is why you were sealed down here. How Naruto-kun found you is a miracle in itself, Kyuubi said to him while Nura growled. He raised AC over her head and S it down, but Kyuubi outstretched her own and stopped it like it was nothing. Naruto didn't flinch from that surprise. He could most likely do it too with him having Tsunade super strength and excellent chakra control. Kyuubi intensified her red, eyes with chakra while Nura glared back. When I get out of here Kurama, I'm going to finish my personal mission and end you once and for all. It was ordered by the higher-ups anyway. You should S along with. Naruto had enough and with his fist encased in chakra he S Nura across the face making the dragon's head whip to the right. He coughed while Naruto moved in front of Kyuubi. I don't know what hell you're talking about, but you harm one thing on Kyuubi-chan and I won't hold back on you at all, Naruto said with his Shinseinigan flaring dangerously. Nura growled before he felt something in his mouth. He spat it out and it was a large tooth. He growled back at Naruto before a snicker came across his face. I'm gonna enjoy KU one of these. Wait, those swords. Insect, where did you get those swords? Nura shouted out dangerously, his eyes screaming death to Naruto if he wouldn't answer while Naruto touched them all. What does it matter to you? He asked and Nura growled. That's Master Yatara's sword, Reiga. That one is Mistress Yuki's sword, Fukun. That another one is Mistress Gaia's sword, Sira. Master Korra's sword, Tyron. Also Master Fira's sword, Yugisa. Insect, what are the Master's swords doing with you? Nura asked while Naruto touched all 5 of his swords. Please tell me you all know something about this, Naruto said in his thoughts as he talked with them. Reiga gathered everyone and Yugisa spoke. All of our previous masters, Naruto-sama. We told you that we each had one original master before you and they were all K by Yatara. Nura must have been sealed before Yatara's banishment. Nura is one of Kami's warriors also, what he told you. It's something that really should be told to you by Kami-sama once you meet her, Yatara said and everyone else agreed. Even though Tyron was the most quiet until he spoke. That bastard Yatara. Master Korra didn't do anything to him and he just. Tyron S his fist into the ground and cursed underneath his breath. Fukun was silent as she remembered her own master as was Sira. Reiga looked to be in deep regret and Naruto just left it at that while he answered Nura's question. I found them all. They are mine and I'm their new master, Naruto proclaimed and Nura seemed confused by such a thing. New master. What happened to the old masters? He asked and Naruto scratched his cheek, but Kyuubi would be more than willing to tell Nura the news. They were all K by Yatara. He tried to take the other swords, but was stopped by the bastard child of Kami, that you hated so much, Kyuubi said while Nura growled. Yatara-sama wouldn't do such a thing. He wouldn't jay his brothers and sisters, Nura shouted, but Kyuubi had enough. He also took the sword Raijin from its resting place, Kyuubi said while Nura widened his eyes. He fell silent for a little bit while Naruto turned around. Kyuubi-chan, who is this guy? Naruto asked and Kyuubi sighed. She looked up at Nura with a lot of spite in her eyes. This is Nura. He's the one who was in charge of taking care of Yatara and his siblings when they were young. He's also the one who taught them how to use their swords. He's the reason Yatara is as strong as he is. However, he's also the one who's been after the Rikudo Sennin. He was tasked to eliminate him, Kyuubi said while Naruto widened his eyes. Why? The Rikudo Sennin was a nice guy, right? Naruto asked and Kyuubi sighed. This was just too much information to process at the moment. Naruto-kun, all I can tell you is that once Kasumi has her child, then as soon as she is back to 100% that you and her do whatever and go see Kami. She's got all the answers. I don't, Kyuubi said before she did an about-face and walked off. Naruto followed her away before he turned around to see Nura still quiet. He merely left the ancient being alone and the two continued their long trek up the stairs. Naruto grabbed Kyuubi's arm forcing her to stop. Kyuubi-chan, tell me. Honestly, can I beat Yatara as I am right now? Naruto asked and Kyuubi closed her eyes. No, she said and Naruto didn't even widen his eyes to that information. He just took it and nodded. Kyuubi could see that she had dealt him a blow to his pride about his abilities and in response she cupped his cheeks. Naruto-kun, I'm not saying that you aren't strong. Far from it, but it took all of us Bayu and the Rikudo Sennin himself. You're nowhere near as strong as he was. Even with those 5 swords I still can't help but worry. Yutara's been alive a lot longer than you have and he has more than enough experience to back it up. In all truth, he's older than even we are, Kyubi said, and Naruto gasped before he saw Kyubi smile. Don't worry, if you do meet him then I'll be there to back you up. So will Nibi and Nanabi. You don't have to worry, Kyubi said before giving Naruto a chaste K, and then she walked back. I don't have to be worried. Between Iwas and their coming attempts and this sword mess I think I've got plenty to worry about. Kyubi-chan, you say I don't have anything to worry about, then why won't you tell me the last feature to my Shinseinigan? Naruto thought to himself before he left. Back in Kiri, 3 days later. This is the roster for the next month. Learn it, remember it and train hard to showcase your skills to everyone, Ao said to everyone. Mei had been watching the contestants fight it out, but she was more interested in Konoha's group. Naruto had sent his letter that he would come to see the Chunin exams and the thought thrilled her. The Mizukage barely had any time with her new fiancé and it K her, but she would have to place such thoughts on hold as she looked at the roster. She didn't read it off as she wanted Naruto to be surprised at who made it before she walked off. Ao, how are the preparations for Hokage Dono's arrival? Mei asked, and Ao sighed while holding up a notepad. All preparations have been made for the Hokage's arrival as well as the Raikage's arrival as well, Ao said while Mei chuckled. No one cares about that muscle-bound fool. All that matters is that Naruto-kun is comfortable, Mei said smiling as she walked away. Ao groaned slightly from the sight of his Mizukage. The old times really have passed away. We needed real things to be done and no kids that would be engaged to people half their age anyway, Ao said while Mei stopped. Old, passed away, need, kids, engaged, half age. I also remember when. Ao, shut up or I'll K you, Mei interrupted with a sweet smile and walked off to go and do Mizukage things. Ao dropped his notepad and grimaced at her tone. He didn't know what had just come over his Mizukage to have her act in such a way. He wasn't sure where that had come from. What did I do? He asked, wondering what he had said that had offended his Mizukage so. With Team 10, Fu, Ino and Asuma watched as Chuji downed steak after steak from his plate. They had been celebrating getting through the prelims of Kiri's Chunin exams, and while Fu didn't really care about that, she still couldn't pass up a free meal that was paid by someone else, but she did have to get away from this team for 2 reasons. 1. Chuji was eating like his life depended on it, and while Fu had been down that road before, she still ate with some form of grace that Chuji lacked. Well, that wasn't really a reason, more of a preference. Second was because she had seen Conan come into the Chunin exams under the guise of a genin from Am. Fu had met during the second part of the exams, and Conan expressed a deep concern that she said Fu had to tell Naruto. Well, I'm going to go now. I'm tired from all that fighting and I'd like to make it back to my hotel room for some rest, Fu said, and everyone nodded as they watched her leave the restaurant. Fu walked out and she could see out of the corner of her eye, Sasuke and his team were heading back to their hotel rooms as well. It was obvious that the Uchiha wasn't happy with this arrangement, but it gave him the time to master the Raijin no Ken, so he could be happy for that, he figured. Fu walked off into an alleyway and leaned against the wall, making sure that she looked as inconspicuous as possible. So what do you want me to tell Naruto-kun? Fu asked, and Conan showed her face from in the darkness. She walked out, and while Fu would have been intimidated by the Akatsuki cloak and the goals of collecting the Beiyu for their plans, she trusted in Naruto's judgment. Tell him that a new member has joined Akatsuki. His name is Tobi. He's been paired with Deodara, but also tell your Hokage to watch his back. There is a traitor to his village because we know, Conan said, and Fu raised an eyebrow. You know what? She asked, and Conan thought back to it. Flashback, 3 days ago. All of Akatsuki had gathered around as they waited patiently for Zetsu. Kisame took a glance at Orochimaru, who was snickering underneath his cloak. And what do you find so funny? Kisame asked while Orochimaru chose not to answer, which sort of pissed the Sharkman off slightly. Kakuku, oh, it's nothing of interest to you, Orochimaru said, and then Zetsu reported in. Everyone waited around for a little bit while Nagato spoke. Zetsu report. What have you and Orochimaru found out? He asked, and Zetsu nodded as he spoke. Well, it seems that Iwa made a failed attempt a few hours ago on Konoha, Zetsu said, letting that information settle in everyone. Conan remained impassive, as it wouldn't do her justice to show concern for the Hokage or his village and his vision of peace. Naturally, Deodara seemed intrigued and listened intently. Oh, you said that it was a failed attempt. So what happened? Who were there? Kakazu asked while Orochimaru and Zetsu turned to him. One of my spies in Konoha uncovered a juicy little secret. Kikuku, it seems that Iwa is scared. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki is going to be a father, Orochimaru said while Deodara coughed. Kisame snickered outright while Hiden snorted. What's the big deal about a heathen? Hiden asked while Black Zetsu grumbled. Fool, don't you know anything? Think of how powerful his child will be. He has mated with his partner, Kasumi Uzumaki Namikaze. This information is most likely reliable, Black Zetsu said. Whole everyone grew quiet. Well, Toby think this is good. Toby loves children, because Toby is a good boy. The orange mask wearing Akatsuki member said while people shook their heads at him. Toby, you talk too much, Pain said while Toby mock cried. Conan then decided to voice her own opinion. What does this child have to do with the Kyuubi Jinchuriki? She asked, already knowing some information that had to be passed to Konoha and to Naruto for the safety of this child. Well, it seems that if we play our cards right, then we'll be able to take out the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, Nibi Jinchuriki and Nanabi Jinchuriki in one fell swoop. It wouldn't be hard for us to try, Orochimaru said, just already seeing the possibilities of such a child. A child with a dojutsu that could copy even Kekai Genkai as well as the taijutsu prowess of its mother, the Uchiha. Orochimaru had just moved to the Uzumaki family. With the Shinseinagen he could take the Sharingan, the Byakugan and anything else that his heart desired. However, do we really wish to invoke the wrath of the Hokage on purpose? He's not listed in the bingo book as an S-rank ninja for nothing. He's called Naruto of the Limitless Bloodlines for a reason, Conan said, trying to deter everyone. HMPH, I'll show that guy what true art is. Deodara said with a snicker while people left. Conan, the Chunin exams in Kiri are coming. I want you to infiltrate it with a team and keep tabs on the Nanabi Jinchuriki, Pain said, and Conan nodded her head as she left as well, with only Pain and Toby alone. You are to not go after that child, Toby suddenly said, turning serious. Pain looked at him and could see the slight glare that Toby casted at nothing in particular, but it made even Nagato slightly shiver. And why should I listen to you? Nagato asked, and Toby narrowed his eye behind the mask. Because if you want this plan to work, then you're going to follow my ruler. Got it? He asked, and Pain didn't respond. He just left without a word. Toby stayed and smirked. This was almost too good to be true. Well, this is a nice tidbit of information, he said before leaving as well. No, where did I put that thing? Toby thought to himself after he left. Flashback over. Fu shuddered from the information before Conan started to vanish in little pieces of paper. Inform your Hokage at once. Farewell, Conan said, disappearing, and just as fast as she came, she disappeared with Fu not being able to trace her at all. The Nanabi Jinchuriki sighed and left the alley before going to her hotel room. With Naruto, feeling a little frustrated by Kyuubi's words, Naruto threw himself into training for himself. He had a clone deal with the paperwork at the Hokage mansion while he tried to go through more taijutsu stances. He kept a solid pace with a chi bunshin, which was getting some attention from the rest of the family. Kyuubi watched Naruto train along with Nanabi and Nibi. They could see Naruto was, for some reason, rushing to get some things completed. Is it me, or does he look frustrated? Nibi asked. Nanabi shrugged her shoulder while Kyuubi's were slumped. She knew why he was like this. Her tactless comment on his abilities had gone on a sour note, and while she wished it hadn't, she had probably destroyed a bit of his confidence. Yeah, he does. I wonder what's the deal, Nanabi said, and before long the both of them widened their eyes and glanced towards Kyuubi was tried not to link her eyes to theirs. They eyed her suspiciously, knowing that somewhere in this Kyuubi had been at fault. That was just like their sister to not have any sort of tact, no matter how responsible she tried to be. Luckily, a shout from Naruto stopped Nanabi and Nibi's questioning gazes before he stopped his training. Naruto huffed lightly and wiped a good amount of sweat off his brow. He walked back into the house and drank some water. Naruto-sama, can't a girl get any attention? Kasumi hollered from the couch. Naruto quickly rushed over with a sigh and smiled. What is it, Kasumi-chan? Naruto asked, grinning while Kasumi sighed. Can you get me some milk? No, wait, some soda. Oh well, I guess soda might be bad for the baby. Yeah, let's go with the milk, but can dogs drink cow's milk? Well, just get me some water then. No, wait, how about? Make up your mind, Kasumi-chan. Naruto nearly shouted before he placed a hand over his mouth. Kasumi stared at Naruto for a second before tears formed in her eyes. Naruto gulped while Kasumi cried. Wah! Naruto-sama yelled at me. Kasumi cried, but then Naruto sat down and grabbed her before easing her onto his seat. She sniffled and Naruto stroked her hair softly before moving down to her tail. It felt nice and fluffy while Kasumi smiled. I'm sorry, Kasumi-chan. You're going through a rough time, aren't you? Naruto asked and Kasumi shook her head. No, Naruto-sama. Haku-san told me that during pregnancy that there are mood swings. I'm sorry, Kasumi said and Naruto kissed her cheek making Kasumi giggle. Naruto-kun, with your clones helping we're almost done. We still have to add the utilities and wires to the room, so I think we should get some more things later. It will be done within the week, Tsume said, noticing the two, and Naruto leaned up. He gently placed a pillow under Kasumi's head before standing to his feet. Got it, Tsume-chan, Naruto said before he walked past her. Tsume then noticed a mischievous grin on Naruto's face before, in one swift motion, he asked her, getting a light yelp from Tsume. Still firm as always, Naruto said with a grin while Tsume glared playfully at him. She then sat down next to Kasumi and rubbed the slightly bulge underneath Kasumi's clothes. It had been about 2 or 3 months that Kasumi was carrying. Tsume-san, would you mind telling me? Does it hurt? Pregnancy, I mean. Kasumi asked and Tsume chuckled darkly. Like AB Kasumi, but it's worth it. Trust me, she said, and that seemed to relax Kasumi slightly before she felt a bit of exhaustion take over her and she fell asleep. With Kimimaro and Tayuya. Kimimaro was busy carrying supplies back to the compound while Tayuya stopped to get a flute book. Kimimaro had told her multiple times that she should do something for Kasumi and Naruto, and when Tayuya suggested that she'd just protect the brat from enemies, Kimimaro had shot her down and said that it wasn't enough. So Tayuya had a book in her hand. She was seething mad while reading through it like she wanted to burn it alive. Why do I have to read this? Tayuya asked and Kimimaro gave her an even glare. Because it only seems right that you do. Don't you want to be liked? Kimimaro asked while Tayuya glared at him. Since when did you care if you were liked or not? She asked while Kimimaro shrugged his shoulders. He really didn't care, but he owed his life to Naruto and he could do the little things to make his master happy, then he would do them. Naruto, while renovating the house, had told everyone of their attempt on Kasumi, well minus telling Kasumi out of worry. It was then that Kushina, out of some fear, had named Tayuya and Kimimaro as Kasumi's protectors while she went out. It was nothing that they couldn't handle as they had nothing better to do. I don't, Kimimaro said while Tayuya sighed and went back to her book. With Hana. Hana was currently sitting on the porch taking a small break from the rebuild while she petted her 3 dogs. She yawned and looked out at the open scenery to see the dogs playing and rolling in the grass. What are you doing out here by yourself? Hana turned her head to see Kiba looking at her and smiled. I like to enjoy the quiet sometimes. Is that wrong? She asked while Kiba snorted. Well, you aren't very quiet in the first place, Hana, Kiba said before he received a yes to the head. Kiba winced before he sat down. You know, Naruto was looking over your mission report and he thinks that you should be a jonin or at least a Tokubutsu jonin, Kiba said while Hana leaned back. I don't know. Too much work for me and I run the vet which was moved for our convenience. What about you, pup? Are you going to become a jonin as well? Hana asked while Kiba smirked. Damn right. Akamaru and I can handle anything, Kiba said with a thumbs up before Hana poked him in the head. Don't get why, Kiba, she said and Kiba snorted while he leaned back. He yawned for a little bit while he looked up at the ceiling. You haven't been around Naruto lately, Kiba said while Hana narrowed her eyes. She looked to see Kiba with his eyes closed enjoying the sunlight. Hana sighed and she knew it was well. She hadn't been around as much and while Naruto would try to be with her, she wouldn't really hit it off that much. She never knew why, or rather she knew and she didn't like it. What are you talking about? Hana asked, feigning ignorance before Kiba looked at her incredulously. It's obvious, Hana, and you're worrying Naruto. You should realize that, Kiba said while Hana sighed. She looked up at the floating clouds and nodded. Yes, I guess. It's just that when Naruto-kun gets married to Ka-chan, that just makes me his stepdaughter and you his stepson. I don't think I could have a relationship with my stepfather, Hannah said, and even Kiba was sort of weirded out by that. Oh, the humor this could cause for him alone. I guess that's true, but meh. I don't think it matters. No one's going to think any different of you. But then again, what do I know? I'm just the little brother, Kiba said as he got up. He had a mission to do anyway as he left Hannah to her thoughts. The female Inuzuka sighed and touched one of the earrings in her ears that she got for her birthday from Naruto. Maybe it was stupid to think that, Hannah said with a sudden smile on her face. However, she had to go too. She had a mission as well, but it seemed that even with missions all around for the village, a few people were still packing to head for Kirigakure. 1 month later. Alright, is everyone ready? A slightly taller blonde asked. Yugito and Yugao nodded as they were ready to walk out the door. Kiba, Hannah, Kushina, Tayuya and Kimimaro had left last week to go to Kirigakure early. Kasumi had left also, but with Haku, Nanabe and Nibi looking out for her. Since the last time, 3 more attempts had been made on Kasumi's life, and while these attempts had never even made it to the compound, it didn't make Naruto feel any better that the Tsuchikage was now just being deliberate with these. The second time, they were stopped by Kimimaro when he caught them trailing Kasumi. Third time was when Tayuya stopped them and effectively pounded him to death. The last time was when Naruto caught her just near the compound and disabled her, then threw her in prison. To this day he still doesn't know why he let her live. Kyuubi said that she didn't have much of a desire to go, so she was going to stay behind. Kakashi was going, as was Itachi. They had left 2 weeks ago. Anko couldn't go because of some mission duties. Alright ladies, just give me a minute, Naruto said before he disappeared. Yugito and Yugao left the compound while Naruto went down through the walkway of the basement. He came into the mysterious room and snorted, looking at Nura chained. What do you want, insect? Nura asked, but Naruto remained silent. He took out Raiga and hovered him over one of the chains. Naruto s down and see the chain into, freeing Nura's left arm. He then did the right arm, tail and finally the head and tail. Nura was confused. Beyond confused even. This 16-year-old brat had just freed him. Just get out of here before I change my mind. I still haven't forgiven you for threatening Kyuubi-chan, but you're not staying down here. I don't know what you'll do if I left you down here. Though considering you didn't do anything before, then I would have to guess that it would have been fine, but I'm not taking that chance, Naruto said while Nura looked at him. He snorted and turned his head. I'm not saying thank you, he said while Naruto rolled his eyes. I'm not expecting you to. Just get out of here, Naruto said, and Nura, in a flash of pure white light, disappeared. He already knew what he was going to do. He was going to go and see just what the hell was going on in his absence from the palace. Do you think that was a good idea? Naruto asked as he turned his head to meet Kyuubi's. She shrugged her shoulders, but didn't say anything. It was Naruto's decision and she wouldn't go against it. The two walked back up to the compound and Naruto gave Kyuubi a goodbye as he left with Yugito and Yugao in tow, which left the house mostly to Kyuubi and Anko and some of the other clan members. Hey, Anko said, sitting on the couch. Kyuubi turned to her from a book she was reading and shrugged. Hey, Kyuubi returned. The two females stayed together for a little bit before silence reigned again. The only sounds that could be heard were the sounds of dogs playing outside with their masters. Oh, this was going to be an awkward week and a half. Somewhere on a boat. Come on, Haim, aren't you happy? We finally get to go back to good old Konoha after 2 long years. I can't wait to see it again, Jiraiya said with a sigh while Tsunade snorted and leaned against the railing. That is if the brat hasn't burned it all to the ground. I can just totally see that happening, Tsunade said while Jiraiya sweet dropped. Sometimes I think you will never have the faith in Naruto that you should, Haim. After all, he did manage to beat you, Jiraiya said before dodging a punch from Tsunade. She growled at him before huffing. I was slightly drunk and disoriented, she countered, though she knew that it was no real excuse for her being defeated by a 12-year-old. No matter the rank. Well, you're still the best. You healed the entire country of Marsh and they all thanked you for it. It was probably the only time that you were so tired that you didn't want to drink, Jiraiya exclaimed, and Tsunade snorted, looking out into the open sea. Whatever, I just know that when I get back, it's going to be back to paperwork for me. I hope that the brat has enjoyed the Hokage position, but now is the time to give it up and return to his jonin duties, Tsunade said while Jiraiya looked at her. He just couldn't bear to tell her the news. She'd learn of it in a week or so, but man was it going to be awkward. Don't you think that the brat's beyond jonin? He can keep up with the best of them actually, Jiraiya said while Tsunade sighed. He might have grown, but I don't think he understands the consequences that go with the position, she said, and Jiraiya just shrugged his shoulders, not really having any more to say. Tsunade would find out soon enough. With Nura quickly flew away from the elemental nations. It had been so long since he had been free. The dragon didn't have the luxury of time and merely continued on his pace towards the sanctuary deep in the icy cold mountains where no human mortal could dwell. He quickly moved in a flash of light and appeared in front of a tower. He was about as far away from the nations as physically possible. No human being without the light or the 5 swords could get here. He quickly flew overhead of the tower and through the roof and reverted to his human form, shocking so many people who had seen him. He landed with a large amount of grace before he opened his eyes. He walked forward and knelt down on one knee. Sorry for being late, Kami-sama, Nura said to a bright woman in a chair. She was wearing a long white dress that went down just to her ankles. Her hair was a sparkly shade of silver and her eyes were as blue as the ocean. Nura-sensei. Nura, you're alive. Is that Nura Teiku? People or beings started to murmur amongst themselves while Kami stood to her feet. She walked over to Nura and with a gentle smile she patted him on the shoulder. Welcome back, Nura-san, she said with a sweet smile, and Nura kept his head low to the ground before Kami clapped and people dismissed from her and Nura's presence. What has happened in my absence? Nura asked while Kami turned around. She frowned and clutched her hands together tightly. Nura, it is more than I can say to you. Yutara has been banished from here. He's also stolen Raijin. I fear that he will come back to try and finish the job, Kami said while Nura growled. So that Kyuubi woman was telling the truth. Yutara had been banished for his brothers and sisters. Don't worry Kami-sama, if it is as you say then I will bear the grudge and I will end my pupil. I will teach him the error of his ways. I who taught him the ways of the sword anyway, Nura said while Kami smiled briefly. She didn't know whether to be happy or sad about this, but she chose happy. Also Kami-sama, I have news. It seems that the Rikido Sennin has met his end due to old age. He won't be around anymore, Nura said with a lot of mirth in his voice. Kami instantly frowned while her beautiful and lovely hair shadowed her eyes. For a long time she was silent. Her mistake came back to haunt her. She just swallowed the large lump in her tea and sighed. I see. Well Nura, you must be tired. Why don't you return to your chambers and rest? I'll have someone fetch you later, Kami said, and Nura could hear the death tone in her voice, but just nodded his head and left her alone. Thank you Kami-sama. I think I shall. Also I have met an interesting insect. His name was Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze and he's discovered the 5 sword that you created for your children. That is all, Nura said before he left Kami alone. The woman had heard the information, but she silently walked away from the center hall and went into her room. She laid down on her bed and, while clutching her dress, the female god of the world cried. Her tears stained her dress and her hands trembled upon the news. She had never heard about it from her brother, Shinigami. How was she supposed to know? All she could do now was try to cry it away, but it wasn't helping her at all. All her emotions were catching up to her. She looked at the small chakra-fueled pendant around her in the shape of the moon and held it dearly while she cried, hoping that no one would hear her. Ryusuke, my son. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Forgive your mother. You must hate me for what I've done to you, Kami said before she cried herself to sleep. She didn't want to have to think about anything else. No, she owed this time to her son. Her long, lost son, for her past transactions and weakness. With Naruto 3 days later. The blonde grinned as he and his 2 females made it to the gates of Kiri. They were more than welcome with each other and Naruto was happy to see that the sun was out in the land of the hidden mist. Well look who's here, Naruto and company turned around to see along with C and Darui. Reikage-sama, Yugito said out of surprise while she greeted she and Darui. Nice to meet you Reikage Dono. It seems that you're just in time like I am, Naruto said with a grin. Yep, He had gotten taller as he was now just about the same height as Yugito, if not an inch shorter than her and Yugao. It looks like your manners have improved, Hokage Dono. Not the same cheeky brat like last year, Reikage countered while Naruto snorted. He didn't have to take this s. How have you been, Yugito? That dog hasn't been doing to you, has he? She asked while Yugito sported a small blush across her face, but hid it well. No. I've had a great life as a Konoha shinobi. Also, I'd like it if you didn't call Naruto-kun a dog. He's better than that, Yugito said with a smile that made she stand down from his comment. Darui shrugged his shoulders while moved up to Naruto. Still keeping strong? He asked, and Naruto gave him a thumbs up. Damn straight, he said before they heard another voice. Oh well, it seems we're all gathering today, and Naruto turned around and the sight made Naruto growl. The Tsuchikage came with Kuretsuki and her father Atsuki. He saw the glare that Naruto gave him and knew that the cat was out of the bag. Yeah, he had tried to K his mate, but within good reason, right? Tsuchikage Dono, so, glad you could make it, Naruto said, thought-gritted teeth. Naturally Yugito and Yugao knew why. They both glared dangerously at the Tsuchikage, and it made Naruto surprised when Kuretsuki did the same to him. Wouldn't miss the chance for my shinobi to have their fun, Onoki said before he floated off. Naruto watched with a bit of fascination at the flying ability. He had heard rumoring of the flying ninja, but other than Fu he didn't know anyone. Something happened with you too? Or asked coming into the conversation. Naruto sneered at the Onoki, but managed to keep that anger contained for the moment. Just a little hostility. You know, our attempts on your loved ones and all, Naruto said nonchalantly while twitched. He glared at Onoki while she and Darui did the same. They all knew how much of a sore spot the Yondaime was with Iwa, but for them to try and attempt again after the first one against Naruto's mother didn't work, then it showed how desperate they were. So what are you going to do? Or asked, and Naruto smiled as he turned around. What else? If he tries something, then I'll just kick his ass so damn hard that he'll be flying for the rest of his life, just imaging the pain of sitting down, Reikage Dono. Is what I'd like to say, but I've just been through one war and I don't need another, Naruto said as he walked into Kiri with Yugito waving goodbye to them. This is going to be an interesting Chunin exam, Reikage-sama, she said while nodded. I have no doubt about that, he muttered before they walked off as well. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.